Good morning, students. My name is Dr. B. Suresh Babu, working as a professor in Mechanical Engineering Department in MBR College of Engineering and Technology, Paritala. As a part of online classes, today concentration for today's concentration is on developing a stiffness matrix for orthotropic lamina material. I repeat once again, the today's concept is I think you are observing the screen on the syllabus. One of the topic is stiffness matrix to engineering elastic constants of an orthotropic lamina. This is the theme. The basic aim of the class is first of all, what is a elastic constant? Second one is what are the forces that are acting on the lamina. Third one is how to develop an orthotropic lamina, a physical material, and how the material will be deformed when forces are going to be act on that one. So these are the three important things we are going to learn. First one is what is an elastic constant, and if forces are acting on a lamina, how the metal is going to be deformed, and how this orthographic lamina is going to be useful in writing the stiffness matrix. So let us have the explanation for these three types of points. I think everyone know the fundamental thing. When the body is deforming means a force is applied on that one, and that applied force is going to be, it is a applied due to the applied force strain that is going to taking is going to absorb in the object or the workpiece. That is strain. It is the change in size of a shape of a body due to the deforming force. Strain is equal to change in dimension by original dimension. Strain is dimensionless, hence it is no unit. So this uh, point is already we covered. As a reference, we are going to use strain here. Next, what is orthotropic lamina? The orthotropic lamina is a sheet with unique and predictable properties and consists of an assemblage of fibers lying in the plane of the sheet and held in place by a matrix. The lamina can be composed of continuous or discontinuous fibers. So here I am defining what is orthotropic lamina. A lamina means a sheet having less thickness when compared to the length and breadth. That is the thing to be observed here. So an orthotropic lamina is a sheet with unique and predictable properties. We can predict the properties of a orthotropic lamina, and also it contains what it is prepared by the assembling of number of fibers in two directions, parallel to the ground in horizontal wise, at the same time perpendicular to that lace on that sheet only. Like this, if you go for number of layers, then it is going to be called as a lamina. So lamina is developed by assembling of fibers. The assembling of fibers may be parallel and in opposite directions, in a reverse directions, like this. One is like this means on another will be like this, and once again another like this. Like this, we are going to create a lamina or develop a lamina by assembling the fibers and held placed by matrix. The lamina can be composed of continuous or discontinuous fibers. So like this we can able to assemble a fibers to develop a lamina. And after developing that lamina, if we can able to predict the properties of that one, then that is going to be called as a orthotropic lamina. So that is the first one is in the first one we have defined a strain. We have defined what is orthotropic lamina. The definition is a material or a sheet which having a ability to predict the properties. Second one, if it is prepared by assembling of number of layers, then it is going to be called as a orthotropic lamina. The fibers may be discontinuous or continuous. So that is the definition of this orthotropic lamina. Next. So already I told a strain concept. If you observe the two figures A and B, one is going to be forces acting away from the center. That means both are acting in the same manner. But if you observe the forces, how it is a deformed one. So dark lines are going to be the original one. How it is, if you observe, the dotted lines are going to be undeformed forces. Here if you observe, the dotted lines are undeformed. If you observe this one, if dotted lines is going to be original object, by applying the force, what happening? The body is going to be expanded. So what is the difference between these two? If you observe is the angle you can observe here. It is deformed in a trapezoidal manner. Here it is deformed in a square manner. You can observe this one. That is the main difference between these two figures. Dark one is called deformed one. That is on this dotted line, forces are going to be act. Due to these forces, the object is deformed and it is going to be get. Here the deformation is in irregular manner. That is, it is not the square. If you observe the lines, it is here equal distance. Here it is not equal distance with the deformation object. Here all this we can able to have that type of dots we can observe. Dot one is original one, and by applying the force on the original one, the object is going to be deformed. Here it is irregular and irregular. So based on this one only, we are going to develop the matrix. Here if you observe, here force is applied in here like this. Here is going to be, both are one and the same. Here we have center, here also center. But it is due to the difference of that one, it is happened. What is the difference? The difference is a deformation of the object. So if you observe this one, already I told, here these are going to be the different types of fibers that are used for assembling of a or for creating of a lamina. If you observe this one, Y and X is a reference axis. 2 and 1 are going to be the angle of the difference of that one, and sigma xy and sigma yy. This is x direction and this is x direction axis. This is y direction. Combining of the one, we can able to get sigma xy and sigma yx because it is the resultant. So sigma is nothing but the stresses. Are you able to understand? Here object is developed by assembling of number of lamina. The cross section of that lamina is, if you cut means, it will be looking like this. If a force is applied on that one in the direction of this 1 and 2, we can able to get the following results. So this is how we can able to explain this deformation of the forces that has happened in the previous one. So due to that force, if you cut that object like this, perpendicular to the F, then we can observe, we can get number of layers which we can visualize there. On that one piece, forces are going to be acted and it can be resolved in the following manner. So this is how we can able to get, this is going to be isotropic material. This is the original shape. We can observe here. This is a deformed shape. If lighter Angio materials is there, and by deformation, it is going to happen like this. It is original shape, you can observe. For orthotropic material also, try to understand, students. If you observe the previous figure, by applying this one, this cross section is decreased and length of the workpiece is increased. Try to understand. In this expansion, what happening? Sometimes instead of having a parallel lines to each other, it will going to be get inclined. The inclined due to the, sometimes it may be due to the forces acting on the lamina, or sometimes due to the external forces. If you can observe this one, so horizontal ones are going to be fibers which are used to prepare a lamina. By applying the force, you can observe this theta. This inclined force, that is a shear force is applied, it leads to the fibers are going to be in this manner, that is inclined to one each other. Of course, these are parallel, but with reference to the off axis, with the axis of the lamina, these are going to be inclined. So this is the point to be understand here. So this is isotropic, this is isotropic. If you observe the layers, how it will be. This is horizontal, these are vertical, and this is inclined. Like this, we can able to explain the deformation of a lamina if the forces are going to be applied. So what is the inference from this one? First, I have defined what is orthotropic lamina. A lamina which can be defined its properties in a unique manner is called as a orthotropic lamina. First point. Second point is, while applying forces, the lamina can be deformed in three types. One may be horizontal, this one, another is vertical, and another one is inclined. Here, fibers are like this based upon the lamina that has taken as a sample piece. For some, we have an example like this. For some, we have an example like this. So this is how lamina is going to be assessed by fibers that are used for preparing that lamina. Next, it is longitudinal strain. That means change in length to original length. So by observing this strain concept and modulus of elasticity, that is stress is proportional to strain at a constant. That constant is called as a modulus of elasticity. In the beginning of the class, the aim, what we told, the aim is to go for a elastic constant materials. How we are going to do that one? That can be assessed for a material by applying loads on that material. Load means a force. Due to that force, fibers are going to be oriented in an object. That orientation we have to write in the form of a matrix. Then that is going to be called as a stiffness matrix for a orthotropic lamina. Let us have that type of matrix here. If you observe this, for reference only, I have used this aeroplane. That means on aeroplanes, number of forces are going to be which acts perpendicular to the axis, parallel to the axis, inclined to the axis. Why? Because air resistance cannot able to predict exactly in which way the forces are going to act on the aeroplane. So number of forces are going to be act. that forces may be in different directions. Due to that one, we have to calculate all direction of forces acting on the aeroplane. Just for interest sake only I have kept this figure. Let us go for the basic contents that we have to discuss. Macro mechanical analysis of laminates. Lamina, laminates, both are synonyms. So we are going to analyze analysis for these laminates. Stress strain relationship on the laminates. As if you observe syllabus, you have to discuss for 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. Let us have a 1-dimensional. It is x direction, it is y direction. Consider a prismatic beam of cross-sectional area under applied axial load P. P is acting like this. Due to this one, what happened? The metal is going to be deformed. So stress is equal to force by area. Strain is equal to change in length by original length. So if you observe this E is equal to P by EA. This is area. E is going to be the elastic constant which we are going to use. So assume that normal stresses and strain are uniform and constant in the beam and are independent of the load applied at the centroid of the cross section. So this is how we are going to apply the load. Due to that one, the expansion will be in to the P load, P by that is sigma xx direction, P by E by A. Try to understand, students. Stress strain relationship for an isotropic beam. Try to understand here. This is a jet. When forces are going to be acting along x direction, consider the same prismatic beam in a pure bending moment M. The beam is assumed to be initially straight and its applied loads passes through the plane of symmetric to avoid twisting. Then it is a epsilon is equal to z by rho. Stress is equal to m by, because mz is force by I. I is going to be the second moment of inertia. Assuming area, you can observe the previous slide, that is area is equal to length into breadth. Epsilon is equal to P into sigma E into A. This is elastic constant. By this elastic constant, epsilon is nothing but change in length by original length. Change in length will happen in x direction and z direction is going to be reduced cross section. If you apply the same concept, we can write this one. Epsilon x is equal to z by P, z by rho. Next, stress strain relationships for an isoentropic beam. The same thing, stress, strain. Sigma xx is equal to P by EA plus mz by EY. Why? Because it happens in two directions. Zero strain plus z is equal to 1 by rho. If you observe the previous, by using that relation, we can able to develop epsilon, that is strain is equal to change in length by original length is equal to epsilon plus z into 1 by P. Exx is equal to epsilon plus zk, where k is going to be the elastic modulus or modulus of elasticity or Young's modulus. When epsilon is the strain at y is equal to 0 through the centroid, then k the curvature of the beam. Ex is equal to epsilon plus zk. Like this, we can write this one. Next, strain displacement equations. Strain displacement equations for an anisotropic laminate. Use classical laminate theory to develop similar relationships in 3D for a laminate plate under combined shear and axial forces and bending and twisting movements. Here we are going to use 4 types of things: shear and axial forces, bending and twisting movements are going to be act on a member. First one is to the axial forces shear may takes place. To the twisting movement along the axis, the bending is possible. That means perpendicular to the axis, bending will take place for a shaft, for a lamina. At the same time, axial forces mean to the twisting movement, shear also takes place. The following assumptions are made to develop the relationships. Each lamina is homogeneous and orthotropic. The laminate is thin and is loaded in a plane only. The laminate is thin and is loaded in plane only. Displacements are continuous and small throughout the laminate. Displacements are continuous and small throughout the laminate. Each lamina is elastic. That is, elastic means stress strain relations are linear. No slip occurs when the lamina interfaces. Transverse shear strains are negligible. The transverse normal strain is negligible. So these are the assumptions that we have to consider while developing the lamina or while developing the matrix for a given orthotropic laminate. I think you can observe this one once again. If you observe, no shear strain, no normal strain, no slip occurs. It will obey Hooke's law. Displacement are continuous and small throughout the laminate. The laminate is thin and is loaded in a plane only. Each lamina is homogeneous or and orthotropic. So from bottom, if I read, all these points are there. Your assumptions to do this one. Next, stress, strain, displacement equation for isotropic. So if you observe this one, already I told lamina is nothing but a thickness is less when compared to length and breadth. So consider the general case of a laminate under in plane shear and axial loading, as well as a bending and twisting movements. N, Y, MX, MXY, NX. So in bidirection, the direction N is there, normal forces, M is there, along that one in the plane, in the edges, M is there, MYX is there, MXY is there, N is there, NYX is there, NXY is there. So we can derive these equations. If you observe the previous one, the same is developed. E epsilon xx is equal to epsilon 0 plus zk. That is for a one dimension. If you go for this one, x, y, gamma xy, x, y, gamma xy, 0 is referred plus z into kx, ky, kxy, where z0, zy, gamma 0 are mid-plane strains, kx, ky, kz are the mid-plane curves. So if you observe this one, these are the strain representation. If stress representation is there, sigma x, sigma y, tau xy. Tau xy is nothing but a bending. Due to the torque, we are going to have the bending moment. So qx direction, qy, xy, xx, yy, zx, qxx, qyx, and qxs. Strain is equal to in x direction, y direction, and gamma is equal to xy. So to reduce the transformed stiffness matrix Qx corresponding to the play located at a point along the thickness of the laminate, which we can write like this. Sigma x, sigma y, sigma tau is equal to this one into, if you multiply this one, sigma x, if you observe this, the same thing we are going to use, sigma x plus z into qx, qy into z. So if you have developed this relation here, exs is equal to f naught into z into k. Here k is there. The same k we are used here, kx, ky, kz, and it is represent sigma a epsilon strain x y direction, z direction. So stress, strain and stresses in a laminate. If you observe this one, which is the laminate, if the forces are going to be applied in this one, then in opposite to each other, it will be like this. So it is going to be taking a shear. The stresses vary nearly only through thickness of each lamina. The stresses may jump from lamina to lamina since the transfer reduces stiffness matrix and changes from play to play. Play to play means it is a layer. So of those students, I'm try to explain the conclusions of the today's class. First, I have defined what is strain, what is orthotropic laminate. Third one is by acting forces on a laminate, it can be deformed in three manner. That is deformation due to the fibers. If you observe parallel direction, vertical direction, inclined direction. If you take one lamina, we have a number of forces acting on that lamina. Due to that one, we can, due to that forces, strain is going to be developed with relation to the constant of the material. For that one, you have consider assumptions, and ultimately it is concluded that shear force takes place. Due to that one shear force, we can have a difference of x in one direction and y in another direction. That is sigma x, and combined we can take another tau into xy. So this is the matrix which we can able develop. By this I am concluding the class, students. Uh, I will provide the complete material in the Google Classroom code in 2 to 3 days. By this I am closing. Have a good day, students. See you all. Bye.